I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thanks for joining us tonight on Forrest Fenn's Friday Night Fenndango. We got some emails to read, some text messages to read, some music to play, some questions to be answered, and some games to play. And we're back.
Hello, we're back. Okay. So, happy International Women's Day to all the women in our chat room today and all those who are watching in the future.
Bless their hearts. I need to adjust my audio just a tad. So we got that, doing that, we got that.
So hopefully you got to go have a wonderful day or go out and have a wonderful evening and celebrate this International Women's Day.
It's a good day to be taken out to celebrate the International Women's Day.
Or be empowered and take yourself out.
There you go. Why did I? Oh, that's what's wrong. Now I can hear myself. So as I said, as I started with, so first of all, I have a thank you and an apology. And the thank you is to Gold Dog, who put so much work into finding some clips, some, our person intro clips, including one for himself, one for me, one for Cynthia. And I was able, I got them in email, I uploaded them to my Google Drive, and then I couldn't connect. We had a lot of things going on the last couple of days, and then I couldn't connect to Google Drive to download them. So I can't play them tonight. And that's the apology part of this. I'm sorry that I couldn't get that done tonight, but I promise that I'll have them for you next Wednesday. And I wanted to thank you for the effort that you put into finding those clips. I really appreciate it. It was very thoughtful, and I know it requires effort on the computer, and I don't want to disrespect that. I respect the effort that you put into it, but I do want to apologize for not being able to get them onto my soundboard here, but I will by next Wednesday, okay?
So yeah, it's a lot easier to get things on the computer than it is the iPad.
Yeah, the iPad is a monster. I wish they had this application on the computer.
Yeah.
That would make my life tremendously easier. I have to update this. So what do you want to do first?
Well, I think...
Since you're now here, you're not out in Zoom land.
I know. I'm here in the studio.
Yeah.
With all the things going on in the background.
How do you like our background, huh?
It's
Is that
pretty
cool?
fancy.
That little
Schmancy
fancy video?
So why don't we start with the first email? We do get emails.
Emails?
We get emails.
We do get emails?
We get emails.
I don't. Are you sure we get emails?
Emails.
Okay, we get emails.
Yeah, we get emails.
So we've got a bunch of little videos that Shelley created over the past couple of days, and we're going to play them tonight. That's part of the fun we're going to have. Okay. So let's start with emails, and these were emails that we've gotten over the past couple of days. Let me make sure that I can read them. Okay, this is from Chris. So Chris says, first, I wanted to say thank you for answering my email. That must have been the one from last week. I heard you talk about Devil's Slide before, so maybe I assumed you guys were searching this area. He was the one that asked if we had quit Yellowstone and go to New Mexico. We are new to the search. We, sounds like family is involved, as well as some of the others. I think I just heard about the treasure maybe 5 months ago. I work way too much. However, since then, I have learned a lot about Forrest and his life before New Mexico, the geography of Montana and New Mexico. It has been a great experience. I am planning on taking 3 others with me camping for a week that have never stepped foot out of the city. pretty courageous. Should be interesting. Yes, it will be if they've never been out of the city. That should be interesting. Is probably the least creative word you could use to describe it. And hopefully a wonderful experience for them. That's what we'd like everybody to experience, a wonderful experience for them. The only question I have is, do you know if Forrest still owned a plane when he hid the treasure? I am unable to find anything on that subject. You guys are amazing. I love your new studio, and Toby, your volume on the mic was good on my end. You have a wonderful voice, and so lucky to be around Shelley. What? Jeez. Okay, so that's an interesting way to put that question, Chris. So the question he asks is, do you know if Forrest still owned a plane when he hid the treasure? Here's the deal. Forrest sold his Piper Malibu in 2003. The deal was completed in early 2004, and he did not renew his medical in 2004. So he hasn't flown an aircraft. He hasn't piloted an aircraft since 2004. Now, we had a theory, and you can go back and see one of our YouTube videos. That's how we ended up in Lander. That Forrest could have, using an aircraft, hidden the treasure in or around 2003. But you'd have to go along with all the theories that we had in that thing. He has since claimed, before that video, Forrest used to say, I tell people I was 78 or 79, which would have been 2009, 2010. I tell people that I was 78 or 79 when I hid the treasure. And, I used to say, well, I tell people that I weigh 160, right? So what I tell people and what is the truth are two different things. I tell people I weigh 160 is the same as saying I tell people I hid the treasure when I was 79 or 80. So we looked at the possibility. That's how we ended up searching in Lander, Wyoming. We looked at the possibility, and we realized a couple of things. Number one, if you read Too Far to Walk, there is a chapter where he describes landing in Lander, Wyoming, and invites a young man from the Avis car rental counter to go looking for arrowheads with him. So it made it possible, and we went searching there. So the only way he could have used his aircraft to hide the treasure would have been if he had hidden the treasure before 2000 or up to, say, before 2004. So he was not flying at the age of 79 or 80 when he claims he hid the treasure, and I'm not contesting that. We had a theory, we played it out, and we let it go. So this is from New York Jim. Oh, this is, Jim is going to send me a St. Patrick's Day tie, which ought to be damned interesting because it's very close to our green background. So there is a possibility that on that day I may have a big hole in my chest.
That's green too.
Where? Oh yeah, well yeah, but it's a darker green. It's not.
Then it could be that color green.
If you ever want to see the color of green that's on our background, just Google chroma key green or chroma green, because there are two colors, chroma green and chroma blue, and the thing about them is they're two colors apparently not found in nature, so that's why they stuck with the movie industry. So I look forward to. I gave him my shipping address. And he's going to send that tie, so we'll wear it. What day is March 17th?
It's Monday.
Oh. Well, we're going to have to wait till Wednesday? Or we could wear it on Friday?
Depends on when you get it.
Okay. This is from Michel, a gentleman from Germany.
Ah.
So he's a Michael, but in Europe they'd call him a Michel. Hi, Toby and Shelley. This is Michel Rolleder from Germany. My YouTube name is Mitch 74. I joined your show last Wednesday for the first time. I made a really cool discovery that you could use in your show. Make a live reveal with your audience. All they need is the Forrest Fenn map to do this. I had lots of fun finding this. I sent you 2 pics. Oh, rats. I didn't upload those. I sent you 2 pics, one with the steps, how I got there, and the other one is finished revealing a mirrored map. Wow. So the 2 images that I have here are the map images from Too Far to Walk, the map that's in the Too Far to Walk, and he has manipulated them in Photoshop and discovered that after he has manipulated them, there is a face. See the face? Kind of an evil face in them, but I didn't get that far in this email, so I didn't upload them onto my G Drive so I could share those. So we're going to put that aside because next Wednesday when we have the show, I'll have uploaded those. Those videos. I'm sorry, those images, and I'll share them with you. So that's very interesting. So this is from Greg. Hi, Toby and Shelley. I believe you did a show a while back in which you speculated the Forrest Fenn. That's a good name. I like that word. Speculated. Hypothesized. Where's Michael? He helps me say that word. Michael, is Michael who in the room?
Hypothesized.
Hypothesized. I believe you did a show a while back in which you speculated that Forrest might have discovered his special place by flying over it, and that perhaps we could narrow it down by looking at flight paths. We did speculate, and we did make that video, and as a matter of fact, well, let me answer his question first. In his response to the first of Jenny Kyle's questions last month, Forrest said, "I have zoomed into the hiding place several times, but I wasn't looking for treasure. Let's speculate," and this is Greg saying this. Let's speculate for a moment that what he meant was, I have zoomed into the hiding place several times in an airplane, but I wasn't looking for the treasure because this was before I hid the treasure. So that is Greg putting that sentence into Fenn's mouth, and that's what he's speculating about. What do you think the implications of this would be? Would this lead to any actionable intelligence? Well, it leads to actionable intelligence because if you do this and you file a flight plan from Santa Fe to Cody, Wyoming, it turns out that one of the places that you fly over, now, we had a conversation about this, the whole flying the Rockies at 500 feet. Flying the Rockies at 500 feet is a very dangerous thing to do because you're flying AGL, above ground level. And you have to go up and down because the Rockies are uneven. So you don't actually fly at 500 feet. You pick the altitude of the tallest mountain that's between you and your landing place, and then you add 500 feet to that, and you can fly over that without crashing into the side of the mountain. But what's interesting is, and one of the things that supported our Rio de los Pinos theory was that if you fly from Santa Fe to Cody, Wyoming, you fly right over Toltec Gorge. And if you're flying at, so there's two problems with that whole, as I said, that whole flying at 500 feet. The Earth is passing under you at somewhere between 350 and 400 miles an hour in that Piper Malibu that he was in, sometimes higher. And so you can't see much. You're not going to be able to see deer and squirrel and stuff like that because they're just going by too fast. Nobody's eyes are that sharp, even if you were a former fighter pilot. So that's the first problem you have to resolve. So what you can see at 500 feet is big, what's the word I'm looking for? Large objects. Large in the context of whatever scenery that is, you're looking for large objects. And so if you're flying from Santa Fe, if you file a flight plan from Santa Fe to Cody, Wyoming, you actually fly over the Toltec Gorge. So I think the implications would be danged interesting, and yes, it would lead to actionable intelligence, as we have proven, because we took our own actionable intelligence steps. This is from Courtney. It's from Copper. And she says, "Hi, Topi. Happy spring. Are you going to have a spring welcome back to the Chase show? I bet it would be a draw, and I bet it would draw an audience before everyone starts their searches." So, we could have a spring show. When is spring? March
21st.
March 21st.
Mm-hmm.
So how far off? Oh, that's this month.
Yes.
Oh, what day is March 21st?
I don't know. Let me look.
Sorry, I
up.
keep asking you this. So yeah, maybe we'll have a welcome back to the Search Spring show. Now, for most of the Rocky Mountains, March 21st is still relatively covered with snow.
It's Thursday.
Oh yeah, a Thursday.
Softer side, or we can do it Friday the 22nd.
We can do it Friday the 22nd. Have a welcome back. It's spring, and maybe we'll ask Courtney to join us. Wouldn't that be fun?
Sounds like people are getting in a hurry for spring to show up.
in a hurry for spring to show up.
And that snow to melt.
And that snow to melt. Yes, ma'am. That's it. We're talking about it. So be patient. Yeah, that snow is melting, but it's not going to melt by the beginning of spring.
It very often snows again in April. So
depending on where you are, you're talking at least late April, more likely mid-May.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a copy of that email message. Am I making a mess back there?
Oh, you must have thrown away a different one.
Oh.
Or did it get printed out twice?
It was printed out twice.
Oh, okay. Well, what should we do now?
We should probably say hi to the folks in the chat room. Are you ready to do that? So, do you want it up there or here?
I'll do it here.
Okay.
Have you got
something
to help me out with that?
I do. Yeah, I do. Watch this.
Help from the other side.
And we are glad you're here.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun for us to have you in the room.
So let's say hello to our friends.
Say hello to our friends.
William, Gold Dog.
Gold Dog, you know what? I'm going to give Gold Dog a
I'll hold it.
Wow, that is really loud. We're going to pull that down just a little bit. Gold Dog gets an applause because I still don't know, is Gold Dog male or female? Gold Dog, what gender are you? Because they put in so much work downloading those clips, finding and collecting those clips for us, and he deserves at least an applause.
All right. We have Brad Kinzer, Hooley, Alan Kay, Sean Malloy, Michael Hoole. Should have a Japanese song for Michael.
Michael, my youngest daughter just spent a week in Tokyo. She was there on what she called a research mission, which sounded very much like something that I would do. But her company, which is called Tobii, Tobii, it's a Swedish company, and they specialize in eye tracking. They sent her on a research mission of a week to determine the market there. And she said she had a wonderful time. She ate her way through Tokyo, she said, but the people were amazing. She felt unique in the sense that she was the only blonde person there, you know. I asked her how big her hotel room, I said, which hotel did you stay in and how big your hotel room was? And she said it was tiny, like it was a little, because in downtown Tokyo, the hotel rooms are very expensive. But she had a great time. She's very, in a lot of ways, she's like me. She loves the adventure and she loves this opportunity. She's never been any place in the Orient prior to this, and she had a really good time. So I was really happy to see her go and come back. So I should have told her to, I should have thought about this and told her to give you a call so you could have lunch with my daughter. Although my guess is it would be a lot like having lunch with me because she's a lot like me.
Mm-hmm. Except she wouldn't know who he was.
Yeah, that's right. So she wouldn't know who.
Call up the stranger and have lunch with him.
I got a call from a stranger name with the background.
That's his ringtone.
Yeah, his ringtone.
OKC Gunna. Hey, Mitchy Mitch. Texas James. William.
Oh, Mitchy Mitch is the one that wrote us. Mitchy Mitch 74.
Yes.
Hey, Mitchy Mitch. I read your email.
We get email.
And I didn't read it far down enough to realize that you had provided some images to go along with it. So I have to be able to upload them before I can share them with everybody. So I'll have them next Wednesday. I'll share those images. But it was what you sent me was very creative. I was very impressed.
All right. We have Jerry Harris, Deborah Jensen.
Deborah.
Says our new studio looks great.
Thank you.
AJ Rainville, Robert Zielinski, Kurt Hensley, Davio's here.
Davio's in the room.
The Mr. T, Finders Keepers, Czar 334, Heather Dawn.
Czar's Heather Dawn.
Yeah.
Hi, Heather Dawn. Long time no see. Where have you been? We haven't seen you in a while. Welcome into the room. We haven't seen you in a while. Glad to have you. Glad to have you here.
And Chris.
Czar's getting to be a regular in here.
Yeah, and Chris Bird. We got an email from Chris. That's the first one you looked at.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the email, Chris.
Davio wants to suggest the background of the weather from the 4 states. Glenna Friedman is here.
Davio, we can do that. We can do practically anything. We've got a magic studio now. There's all kinds of stuff we could do.
Sakar is here.
Hey, Sakar.
Jim Siri. Rusty Nipples wants to know what's the largest photograph in The Thrill of the Chase. Isn't it the one of Skippy?
The largest photograph. Well, there's several full-page photographs.
That's true.
I don't know. I'd be interested to know why you asked the question, though.
23 Monarchas here.
Hey, 23.
William says, wasn't there a photo on a scrapbook where his grandson is flying and Forrest is riding co-pilot?
Yes, that is in, I don't know if it's a scrapbook or one of the chapters in Too Far to Walk. That's when Shiloh flew him to visit with Suzanne Winters. They went to a party in California, Southern California, to
You mean
visit.
Suzanne Summers?
Is it Suzanne Summers?
The actress?
I know it was one season or the other. Yeah, so she had done the intro to.
Right.
Too
That's
Far to
Suzanne
Walk?
Summers.
Okay, Suzanne Summers. So yeah, that's that story. I don't know if it's a scrapbook. It may, in addition, be a scrapbook, but it's one of the last chapters in Too Far to Walk, where Shiloh flies another aircraft. It isn't a Piper, so it's probably a rental or one of his friends. Flies him to Southern California, and they visit. Suzanne Summers has invited them to a party at her house. So yes, that story does exist.
Eric Schmidt's here.
Hey, Eric.
Mark Connor. Aaron Hurley wants Rocky Mountains in the background. Let's see, David Dow.
So one of the things I was going to do is I was going to put the webcam shot. Did I say this already, or did I just tell you?
No,
I was going to put the
think you said
webcam shot from the Old Faithful geyser at Yellowstone that Fenn always refers to. The problem is it's nighttime there, so it's not very pretty. It's very grainy.
Right. David Dow. All will be well from New York City. Journeyman. Gold Dog says put Forrest's Den in the background. Todd Birmingham.
That's a new name.
He's been in a few times.
Has he?
Mm-hmm. Oscar Rodriguez. Glenna Friedman, I already said that. Sledneck. Rob Matson says there should be a stock ticker on the bottom of our screen.
There's see that right there, the background there. That's a stock ticker back there.
Christopher Robin.
Somebody needs to be Winnie the Pooh if we're going to have a Christopher Robin.
Maybe Christopher Robin grew up and doesn't need Winnie the Pooh anymore.
Good point. He's been in my radio flyer. You know what a radio flyer is? A red wagon.
Oh, a red wagon. Yeah.
So is that a question, or is that further down? Is that the lead searcher?
I don't know. It popped and I can't find where it was.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Heat gun, melt the ice. Okay, we talked about melting the snow. And Foxtrot, Mike.
Mike.
DAK Dak. Must listen good. Godzilla for Michael.
Godzilla for Chuggins, yeah.
Czar says good evening. Chris said thank you for reading my email and answering the question. I'm on break at work, so I finally get to join the chat.
Oh, great. Well, welcome. I'm glad you could be here. That's fun.
Christopher Robin said, "What? No sleeping pod? Splurged for a room."
No, she got a room.
Sleeping
Well,
pod.
at some point she took a brief respite and headed north to just kind of experience things, and got a full-size, in the process, paid for a full-size room. But she said, yeah, the place that, she said, it was, what was cute about it is every day they'd lay out robes and slippers and pajamas for two. And she said the big guy, her boyfriend, is huge. Well, not huge. He's probably,
He's
what,
very tall.
6'3", 6'4"?
Well, you're not quite, maybe 6'3".
Okay. And she said he would have never fit in the room that we were in.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
but she thought it was nice that they were laying that out every night for her.
Steve from Oregon is here, and Jim Black. Michael says he could have shown her some great sushi places.
You know what? She's going back in about 6 months, Michael. So I'll make sure, because she did. She just kept Instagramming photos of all the places that she had gone to eat, and she's the one that graduated from Johnson and Wales Culinary Art School, although she never used it.
She did too.
She did for a couple of years, but
And then she found out it's really hard work.
Yeah.
Baking and cooking is hard work.
And then got into technology sales, and she's very good at that. But she's a foodie, and so she wanted to try everything. And so all we kept getting was Instagram pictures of the different things she was trying out. So Mitchy Mitch says thank you very much.
And we have world famous gamer
WFG.
James Casey says TGIF.
So I'm curious, WFG, are you actually attempting to lose weight on that diet, the no sugar diet, or are you just doing it to be less sugary? Because being less sugary is a good thing.
Yeah, it's tough though. Let's see, we have Donnie Blaze, loving the $1 Million Studio.
Multi-million dollars.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, Chrissy Snow, that's right. Suzanne Summers. Shiloh was blindfolded and promised not to look when Forrest says, "I'll be back in 4 hours." Try to forget what airstrip we were at. Thanks.
Yeah, that's the problem. We've always, one of the issues associated with him hiding it at, with the combination of an air by flying to it, is it leaves a trail. We actually have a show on the various alternatives that he could have implemented, and then we talked about each of the trails that he would leave behind. So it would have been a very difficult way to hide the treasure.
Lavender Blonde is here from Texas.
Hey, Lavender.
Jungle Cruiser. Chris Bird says, if it took him 15 years to write the poem, does that mean he started around 2003, possibly just before he sold his plane?
Actually, that was one of the things that he said. That was a quote from Moby Dickens, very early in Moby Dickens, and he repeats it. It took me 15 years to write the poem from the time I got sick. 15 years. So the 15 years from 1988 when he got sick would have put him at 2003, and that's why we started. That was the thing that keyed us, that stimulated us to research the possibility of him having hidden it. So there are three things that kind of supported our theory. Number one, the statement that he made at Moby Dickens that he's never actually really corrected. Number two was the story in Too Far to Walk about going to Lander, Wyoming. And number three was the lock of hair that he put in the olive jar and then in the treasure chest. Because our conclusion was the only reason you would need to place a lock of hair in there is for DNA testing, and the DNA testing would be necessary to prove that you had owned the treasure and had hidden it along with your biography. So our theory was, and if you had written a book saying you hid the treasure along with photographs, you wouldn't have to put your hair in it. So our theory was the hair was in the olive jar because the treasure chest was hidden around 2003, and he didn't write the book till 2010, or he didn't publish the book until 2010. So what if the treasure had been discovered in the intervening 7 years? The answer would have been my hair proving this is the treasure chest that I hid is in the olive jar, and you can do a DNA test on that. So that was kind of the theory that was kind of one of the elements that led us to consider the possibility that he had hid it in, prior to 2003. But it was stimulated, it was launched by that statement at Moby Dickens where he said it was 15 years between the time I got sick and the time I finished the poem. Something, I don't know, but it's Moby Dickens. Hid the treasure. Yeah. And that's at Moby Dickens, and that's what said, oh, maybe that wasn't a mistake.
But didn't he kind of correct and come out and say I was 79 or 80? And
well, yeah. After we put out those couple of videos, he started being more adamant, and he wouldn't use. He changed from saying I tell people I was 79 or 80 when I hid the treasure, and he changed the sentence to I was 79 or 80 when I hid the treasure. And he did it at Dale's blog, where it was going to get the most out of the case. He was more specific rather than being, because up until that was sometime around mid 2017. Up until that time, there was nothing specific about what he said when he hid the treasure. So,
all right, we have Jonah Escola, Dave Hedblom, Hedblom. I think I'm saying that right. Mark Connors says, does anyone know who Forrest Fenn sold his plane to? Could have been sold to Shiloh for $1. That would be selling it with him having a pilot and a plane at any time he wanted.
You mean the aircraft?
Yeah.
No, he sold the aircraft to another buyer, and the price was around $700,000, and the buyer wrote him a check and it bounced. And so the guy, he called him and said, your $700,000 check bounced. So they had to correct it, and he got the check, and that's why. And then the FAA has to approve any general aviation transaction, and so it was 2004 before the FAA approved it, but it went to another person for the price of around $700,000. You can actually go to Dale Neitzel's blog, and there's I don't know if it's a scrapbook, a story about it, but there's a photograph of the check and indicating, it actually says it's stamped insufficient funds. And then and Fenn tells a cute story about that, like the check bounced and I had to go get the money. But he sold it to a friend or someone who he knew, and so it wasn't difficult getting the money back.
We have Parzival the Wise, and
I gotta read World Famous Gamers. It says, oh my God, y'all can actually see my comments. Yes, we can. Wow, no sarcasm. I'm actually shocked, TBH, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Why would you be shocked?
So you're not being a drama llama.
Yeah. What did you just say, Dun? We don't want no drama llamas. We don't want no drama llamas. I'm just going to keep playing those.
We have Adoniram Judson. Adoniram?
Didn't we have this conversation?
Adoniram.
That's an old biblical name?
He goes by AJ, so that's good. Yeah, I believe it's Jewish, isn't it? Adonai.
Well, it's
Adonai is.
No, Adonai is, but Adoniram is a biblical name. It's in the Bible someplace.
Something to do with God. Doug
Adonai.
M.N. Doug M.N.
Don't forget that if you want to ask us a question from the chat room, make sure you precede your question with @ the little squiggly sign, AGK space media, and that way it highlights it for us, and it's not flying by with all the other lines in there as you guys are communicating with one another. So I do want to see them. As an option, you can call our 800 number. Well, it's 866, but it's a toll-free number, 866-597. We're going to open up the phone lines. I got that fixed. Or you can send a text message to 866-597-9901. You can see it scrolling on the screen up above me right now. Or you can
And
see
it's
it between us.
between
Yeah,
us.
it's between us. It's a phone number between us. 866-597-9901.
And we have Steve Wayne in the room,
Hey, Steve.
Brett Nygox, Doug Emin, I think I said that one already, Jack B. Nimble, and Richard Chambers says, if the points in the poem lay out a roadmap to the blaze and the treasure, what is your opinion on how the points lead to the treasure? And X marks the spot or something else?
The blaze marks the spot. That's easy enough. So we had a bit of this conversation last week, or last Wednesday, rather. We are of the opinion that the distance between clue 1 and clue 9 is so short that you wouldn't find them on even the most detailed of topographic maps. They just wouldn't be visible on the maps. And what I suggested to people is take the best map you have, put it's not mathematics, but it deals with geometry, geometric compass. Wow. That's what happens when you're my age. So take a geometric compass, put it on the legend, measure out a mile, and then put that on the most detailed map you have, and you'll see that you can't see anything. You can't get those kind of details on it. Wow.
All right, we have Jason Hamilton in the room. And Adoniram says, at an interview, Forrest stated there was an accidental hint in the book, Too Far to Walk. What do you think it might be?
Well, he teased that, and we thought there were two possibilities. One, when he talked about the map, and he said that the map, he had not told Benchmark Maps, the people who printed the map, to stop at Canada. So the hint was you don't have to go further north than the United States-Canadian border to look for the treasure, because up until that time it was just in the mountains north of Santa Fe, which go all the way up through Canada and partially into Alaska. So some people thought it was that. Then in the preface of Too Far to Walk, he talks about a trip he took as a young man down the Madison River, and that he pulled behind him a rubber raft, and he spent 3 days walking this distance, the Madison River, and he said it was a distance of about 10 miles. And he ends it by saying, and he'd love to go back there. And again, I'm paraphrasing here. Go to the preface of Too Far to Walk, second or third to last paragraph, and you can hear the way he tells his story. And he said it was a distance, this distance that he covered over a 3-day period, fishing in the corners of the river. He said to himself, somebody just went by in the garage. He said
Fascinating.
it was a distance that of about 10 miles, but now it was too far to walk. He couldn't go back there. And so some people thought that was the hint, that the distance too far to walk was 10 miles. We don't think that's a hint. We just think it's part of the story, and he had to incorporate it. He had to have a reason for the title of the book, Too Far to Walk. That's what we thought the two, we considered over time what the two hints were. I don't know that I've heard since that time anyone with a serious discussion about the possibility of what the hints in the Too Far, what the hint he suggested in Too Far to Walk. The only ones you ever heard were the benchmark map ending at the Canadian border, and the preface where he talks about 10 miles being now it was too far for him to walk. No, the distance too far to walk.
Yeah, if you could call that a hint.
Yeah.
We have Matt Bear in the room, Rob Matson, Belva Jenkins from Chattanooga,
Hi, Bill.
Samuel Smith, and Todd Birmingham says, there is furious talk of lead searchers. Many people are convinced that they are the one. Do you think all of this might actually dissuade the real lead searcher from continuing?
We don't, well, a couple of things. First, So thinking about it rationally, how does one know if they're the lead searcher? How do you know if you
There's
claim
no
to
finish line to cross,
Right.
except for the treasure.
How do you claim to be the lead searcher if you don't have the treasure? The lead searcher is a person that announces and provides evidence that they've recovered the treasure. That's a lead searcher. Until then, we're all holding a different lottery ticket, and none of us has won yet. So the lead searcher is a myth created, I think, by the community just to make itself feel better about what it's doing, the investment in time that it's making. We don't think there's a lead searcher.
Michael O'Connell says, what about Pinion nuts? Did Fenn slip and then later change his mind when numerous people located Pinion distribution maps? He realized months after he made the New Mexico True Stories video.
The only correction that we saw is he made the New Mexico True Stories video, and then the correction he made was, the mistake that he made was that the 3 or 4 objects that he mentioned as being what he could smell or see in that would have been inaccurate, and I think he pulled out the pinon tree part of that, or he could smell pinon. So that's what he backed away from. It wasn't necessarily that he was backing away from a location as much as as just the object. The object didn't fit the rest of the things.
Jim Siri says, did you journal all of your attempts to locate the chest?
We
sort of. I mean, you did it in the blog, right?
Yeah, we journaled in the sense that we took pictures, we took photographs, and then made comments on the photographs. And whenever we came back from one of our trips, we'd put it on here. But there are photographs pretty much of almost every place that we went on our blog at gypsieskiss.com. And if you go to our photos section, you'll see photographs from, literally there are thousands of photographs there of our various trips that include all the places that we went in New Mexico, the Lander, Wyoming. We were in Lander for 5 days. We were in Browns Canyon for 2 days. And all the trips we took last summer at Rio de los Pinos. So it wasn't a journal as much as there are videos where we talked about the photographs at each of these locations and described what we were seeing. So, yeah, I guess you could call it journaling in a Toby.
Yeah, there's nothing we've left out.
Yeah, yeah, we've shared everything.
We've documented each one of our failures.
Yeah. We're so proud of our failures,
Yay.
we document them.
Yay. You can't learn if you don't fail.
Right. Winning builds confidence, losing builds a lot of character, and we are just got
We're
a ton.
big characters.
We
just
got
characters.
a ton of character, yeah.
So Adoniram says, I thought, and back to the clue in Too Far to Walk, I thought it was in chapter 37 where there is a photograph of a valley with Dale Neitzel's name on it. I emailed Dale, but he never responded where the photo was taken.
Photograph of a valley. Well, Dale has been literally in all 4 of the treasure states, so I'd have to see it. I'd have to go back. I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at it and see if I've got an opinion on the matter. Okay.
Jan Kerb says, lol, cool lead vid, guys. There's no lead searcher, just the finder.
Yep.
It says 23 Monarcha. Michael O'Connell says, so he recanted because otherwise the search area was far smaller. No pinon smells in Wyoming, Yellowstone National Park, or Montana. Pinon nuts in northern New Mexico and Colorado only.
Right.
Did the wily old fox Forrest Fenn slip?
He did indeed slip, but you don't know on which side of that particular algorithm he slipped on. Right. That was the issue.
World Famous Gamer says, did you see my Forrest funny videos?
No, I've been looking at his food videos.
Oh, no, I haven't seen them either.
Okay, well, we'll go take a look at them.
Okay. Island Native, hello from Texas, not far from Randolph Air Force Base, but faux show too far to walk. Jason North Face is here.
Hey, Jason, how are you doing? Oh, Jason, was it a text message that you sent about what I was looking for? I am not looking for a coat stand. I'm looking for a coat rack, etc. I'll draw you a picture and show you what I'm looking for, because I think it would be neat to have your family make it.
Michael O'Connell says, but Fenn said he said something he wished he had not said. I don't think the pignon smell was an error at all.
No, when he said that, what it left you with is which one of the multiple elements that he described as being part in that area was one of them. So could it have been the pignon that didn't go with a sagebrush or something like that? So he never indicated which of the ones were a mistake, just that he had made a mistake in that. And all the assumptions came after that. Doug in Minnesota says, they're not failures, you just successfully proved where the chest isn't. Yeah, we've spent 32 tries.
Sounds like Thomas Edison.
Yeah. Okay, are we ready for voicemail and text messages?
Yes, I'm at the bottom.
Okay. So, do
And
I have a voicemail?
I hope I didn't miss anybody's name.
Do I have a voicemail and text?
But if you're just lurking and didn't say hello, then
Come in and say
hello.
Lurkers,
Hello,
we
lurkers.
appreciate you too. So.
Yes, that's right.
Did I reset the
The good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah. What?
What?
I didn't even know you could whistle. That is
I
like
just find it annoying when other people do it, so I try not to do it too often.
That was the first time in 7 years that I've heard you whistle.
Oh, come on.
I have never heard you whistle before.
Yeah, you have. I'm sure you have.
Okay, so let's start with a voicemail. So I'm going to go to text messages, and as soon as we're done with the text messages, we'll open up the phone lines, okay? So let's see what we got. First text message.
Hey, Toby. My name is Christopher Hurst. I'm a Cody, Wyoming resident. I ran the poem to point A, ran Lewis and Clark deciphered it to point B, ran a bearing from them 2 points, and got a point C. Spent everything. Then I ran across a painting from 1988 that he sold for $15,000 and watched hammer at auction for $1.2 million. That's the blueprint. It is over. You want to contact me? At 307
blah, blah, blah,
la.
Thank you, and God bless you too. So he apparently has some things that he's on track with. So let's. Wish that could have been a little bit more clear. Okay, this one is from area code 903. Remember that if you're sending a text, give me your name and from what state you're in, the state in which you reside, where you are, your name and where you are, so I can just mention your name and where you are in a general sense. Do not share your phone number in
General
your minute.
sense.
Okay, so he says 903 says, hey bud. Did you guys ever go look around the Warm Water Halls area from back in April 18? By the way, if you look at that area from Google Earth, there's a man's face in the river bend. So if you're asking us if we went to our warm waters, yes, we went 5 times. That's the Rio de los Pinos, if that's what you're asking. And again, we have photographs of all of that on our blog, of every one of those trips.
Jonah Escola wants to know, do you attend all of Forrest's public appearances?
I have since since August of 2013. Yes, and I've recorded some of them. You've seen the recordings. I've live streamed some of them, but I think I've been to everything since August of 2013. Loretto, then
Except for Fenbury.
Except for Fenbury, right. Then I recorded Collected Works. I recorded Moby Dickens. I recorded the Rennell Jacobson giveaway. Actually, that was my first live stream for him. And then all the public events that he's had since then, except Fenbury. So, yes, I have been.
But never have we seen him answer questions the way he did at Moby Dickens.
Yeah. Okay, this is.
He did a little bit at the Lure, but he was ready to answer questions.
Oh, that's another one we
Dickens.
did. Yeah, Moby Dickens. He was ready and willing at the time.
Yeah, you set up for it.
Yeah.
Oh, and Mitchy Mitch is asking about the book. Speaking of Moby Dickens.
What about
the book behind Forrest when he's doing that?
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, what's that got to do with maybe he used that?" But that was just the bookstore owner that put it.
No,
there,
it
right?
wasn't the bookstore owner.
No?
It was me.
Oh, was you?
Yeah. So the book is a book of art by M.C. Escher, and as you know, M.C. Escher is that talented artist that had that used visual effects. What is it when you trick your eye?
Mirror effects?
No,
or
somebody put
magic
in the room. M.C. Escher, what M.C. Escher does. And that book, I don't know, so that area that Fenn was sitting in at the time he did that interview, was just it was set up like a display. There was a bunch of books on the table in front of him on book racks, so they were all standing up. There was the chair, and that particular book was on the chair. So what we decided, I kind of decided because I was directing, because I had the camera and the lights and the microphone, and everybody.
And because he's Toby.
And because I'm Toby, because I do that stuff. Nobody kind of knew who I was, so I was just giving directions, like let's move this over here and let's put that there. And so anyway, that book, that M.C. Escher book, was on that white chair that I wanted Forrest to sit on. So I took the book off the chair, put it over there on what was a banco, a wooden banco, and just set it there with a wooden bench, and just set it there. And then I moved the white chair in front of the table and had asked the bookstore owners to move all the books from the table except his. So the way that M.C. Escher book got there was Toby needed to get his camera set up without the M.C. Escher book on the table. So there was no conspiracy M.C. Escher, or was there?
Island Native has a question.
Okay.
I'm certain this question's been asked, but I haven't been able to nail it down. The treasure isn't associated with a man-made structure, but could it be sitting on top of one? Define association. Association,
I would assume, is coming in contact with or being encompassed by. So if I would assume that includes not being associated with a man-made object, includes the chest sitting on top of a man-made object. So I don't think there's a man-made object where he hid the treasure. Okay, this is from area code 415. So I need to turn off my camera reports when people are walking the dogs in front of my garage.
It's too close to the sidewalk.
Yeah. Dear Toby and Shelley, my name is Peter. Oh, this is interesting. So, dear Toby and Shelley, my name is Peter Georgi. Pronounce it any way you see fit. But that's a Russian name. Georgi is an Eastern European name. And I live in Fremont, California, so he's not in Eastern Europe. Even in this, from a Fenn treasure hunter perspective, remote location, it is quite intriguing. Did somebody just knock at the door?
I don't know what that was. No, it wasn't a knock. It sounded like the door got swung open, but it's just sitting there.
It's the wind. The wind is still. We've got 30 plus knot winds out here.
Yeah, it's very windy. Wind advisory today.
And I live in Fremont, California. Even in this. Okay, so that's the third one. Let me just.
Some tumbleweeds are blowing down the street.
Let me just check my camera here, guys. So what the heck is going on out there?
Toby got a new security system, and it's the camera on the garage sometimes just lets him know when people drive down the street or walk by.
You know what it is? It's the wind blowing crap by.
Stuff past the camera, and it's sending him text. Oh no, something's going by me. Yeah, it's windy out there.
It's pretty windy out there, folks. Okay, so
back to work here.
Back to where we were. Dear Toby and Shelley, my name is Peter Georgi. Pronounce it any way you see fit, and I live in Fremont, California. Even in this, quote, open parentheses, from Fenn treasure hunt perspective, close parentheses, remote location, it is quite intriguing to follow your vlog and to armchair hunt for the treasure. I like the way you bring structure to the chaos surrounding the chase. Whoa, well, I don't know if we bring structure to, I don't know if there's chaos or we bring structure, but thank you for the compliment. surrounding the chase. I always follow your show to the last minute on YouTube, though I have yet to tune in live. Oh, join us live, Peter. We have a great time. We think it's fun. Please keep up the great work, and I'm sure I will be visiting your really nice city in the near future again. I visited Albuquerque and Santa Fe twice before, though unrelated to the chase. Compared to the overly congested Bay Area, you can appreciate the value of nature around you in the way that is supposed to be enjoyed. That is, in my opinion, the greatest takeaway. He writes like Michael Hoole. The greatest takeaway from Fenn's idea and the crux of the chase. Sadly, not everybody has the mental capacity to understand his mind. So far, none of us do, Peter. Don't feel alone. We should hope he and his family doesn't give up on the mankind after some of those unpleasant surprises this past year. Hope your move went without a snag. Best wishes from very wet California. Signed, Pete. P.S. The new studio looks great. In fact, you have both never looked sharper.
Sharp. We like to be sharp.
Yeah, we like to be sharp. Well, thank you, Peter, for that very complimentary text message. We appreciate it. And we'd love to for you to join us on one of the live programs. So you can, maybe sometime you can call in.
Well, AJ Rainville has a hypothetical question.
Hypothetical.
Says, if the Forrest Fenn treasure had a much lower value, say $50,000, how much would be different about the chase, if anything?
I think it would cut. I think it would cut down the number of searchers, and the reason is there's a I would call significant proportion of the search community that is doing it for the money, right? You hear that in the interviews as a way to improve their standard of living. So and that applies to. I think there's a very small proportion of searchers who are simply doing it for the adventure, finding the treasure, and being the one that found it. I think for that reason only, I think a greater proportion of searchers, a majority of searchers are doing it so that they can change their standard of living. It's certainly something that I would have done. I mean, I wasn't doing it for the glory. I was doing it for the money. I mean, I'm sorry to sound so mercenary, but yeah, I think a proportion. And so if it was devalued in some way, if we suddenly discovered that it wasn't gold, but chunks of copper,
a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, a bunch of rocks. Then I think a lot of people would lose interest. In it. Okay, so we have a voicemail. Let's play the voicemail.
Hey, Toby, this is Gerald Vacker. I was up at in Wyoming back in August of 2010, and I saw something. I'm the one that texted you about the
Red
Ford Pinto. If Forrest Fenn had one. If you could give me a call back, I'd appreciate it. 977.
Okay,
I
good.
saw something on Google Maps, and I don't know if it's where Forrest Fenn hid the treasure or not, but I think I've got good evidence. Maybe.
That's good. I think I've got some good evidence. Maybe. Gerald, what I'd recommend is send me what you think is the evidence, and then I'll give you a response telling you whether I think, I guess what you have to do is share the evidence and then see what kind of response you get to the evidence. Because I think there's a lot of people that claim to have had evidence. Okay. Toby, please text the address that's from Jim. Jim, I sent you an email with my shipping address, so because I'm looking forward to my green tie. Try not to match. Oh, they don't know what. So, he's ordering it on Amazon.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
Just do what you want to do, man. And if he does,
we'll figure it out.
He'll definitely wear it sometime.
Okay, another voicemail. Ooh, long voicemail. Okay, so let's see what we got here. He doesn't have any phone numbers. All right, so let's play it out here.
Hello, Toby. It's Chris in New Mexico again, and I left a message earlier, and I'm going to guess there was a couple that went to Cimarron, New Mexico, husband and wife team. I am guessing that those two were 200 feet from the treasure because they had boots on the ground, and they seemed to have, to me, was the closest. And another couple, which was a husband and wife, and then a friend that came from Texas, and they went to Jemez, New Mexico. And those are the other family that I think that came 200 feet from the treasure. They probably walked by it. They didn't even think of going off the trail where they were going. And Burying the Cold is the video that you need to go under on that one. And those two couples, Cimarron, New Mexico, and Jemez, New Mexico, are the closest that anybody has gotten. You look at those two videos and tell me. See what you think. You let her by.
Okay. So my only problem with that, Chris, is that if you have two sets of searchers within 200 feet of the treasure, and one of them is in Jemez and the other is in Cimarron, you're talking a distance as the crow flies of between 75 and 100 miles. So those two locations are very far apart from one another. They're on two different sides of the center of the Rocky Mountains, and so they both can't be within 200 feet of the treasure because that's just too far apart.
So we have Richard Holmberg and K-Pro in the room.
Oh, K-Pro. Hey, K-Pro.
And Zozo Rocks.
And Zozo Rocks. And Mitty Mitch. K-Pro would like you. Did you see the email that I got from K-Pro?
I saw
Okay,
it.
all right. K-Pro, I forwarded your email to Shelley. Okay, area code 410. Why does that sound familiar? That's Maryland. Toby, can you please try to remember to turn down... Okay, I will. Toby, can you please try to remember to turn down the ringer on your phone? I watch while driving, and every time it rings, you shouldn't be watching while you're driving anyway. I watch while driving, and every time it rings, since it is so loud, I feel like I'm going to jump out of my seat. Thanks. Oh, it is David from Maryland. So, yeah, David, I made it a point to turn it down just based on that text message. So, let's see. New text message. Hi, Shelley and Toby. This is Burton in Tennessee. Just thought I would share some pictures from my boots on the ground last July. It is a beautiful place. I hope to go back there in August. Burton, as we said the other night, if any of you would like to share photographs, try to send us photographs of your search area. We'll put them in our background. We'll use them for our background here. So we have your guys' pictures in our background. It doesn't always have to be this newsy thing. But yeah, send us your pictures. You can send your pictures to gypsieskiss@gmail.com. Send them there, and we'll, if they're pretty, I'm assuming they are since they're out of nature, we'll put them in our background for a night. We'll give you credit. How's that? Well, I mean,
they said our background looks very CNN-ish, and I was like, yeah, but we're not interrupting each other and yelling at each other, so it's not very
exactly.
CNN.
Yeah,
CNN. We're a little more mellow.
CNN is hard to watch. Javier, or Xavier, from Rhode Island, I guess. If he's from Rhode Island, he's probably Xavier, not Javier. Oh, that actually hurt. Xavier from Rhode Island. Has Forrest ever asked you to remove or refrain from position... oh, gosh, what is that word?
Posting.
Xavier from Rhode Island. Has Forrest ever asked you to remove or refrain from posting any of your videos or photos of him, or asked you not to shoot them? No, the only time he ever asked was when, so we were attending, there is a documentary film about the chase called The Lure. The producer, director is a friend of ours whose name is Thomas Leach. And they had planned on May 17th of 2017. They were planning a screening of his film in Santa Fe at the Contemporary Arts Center, which has a theater in it. And Fenn had that all planned out. And the idea, if you've ever been to a screening, the idea is you show the film and then you invite the director up on stage and you ask the director questions about the film, about the making of the film. And that was the whole plan. That's how you normally do it. Well, there was a woman there whose name was Diana. Do you remember Diana's
Taylor.
last? Was it Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Diana Taylor. And she's a local Santa Fean. I think she's an author.
No, she's a documentary maker.
Documentary maker.
Mm-hmm.
And she was asked by the Center for Contemporary Arts in Santa Fe to host this discussion between of Thomas Leach of the Lure. And at some point, so Forrest was in the audience like all of us. He was up about the third row. He was sitting right next to Peggy, and then his daughters and the other members of his family were in the rows in front of him. So there was no intent of him ever getting up on that stage. He didn't want it to. But what happened was Diana asked him to, and when he said no thank you, she went and got him out of his chair and had another chair brought onto the stage and put him on the stage. Well, at that point, the questions about the film stopped and the questions about the treasure hunt started. And Forrest was there. You could tell, and we were surprised because neither one of us expected that we'd be recording Forrest. So what happened is Shelley pulled out her cell phone, started aiming it down. I had my DSLR with me, which just does. It's a Lumix G1, which shoots great video, but we didn't have audio set up. So there was a speaker over on the wall. So I jumped out of my seat, went over by where the speaker was, and started shooting handheld down there. And you can see those videos. Those videos are on this YouTube channel. You can see them. There are 8 of them. And what happened was I put up the entire video. Forrest called me, I don't remember if he called me or sent me an email, and said that he was very embarrassed by the video. Embarrassed in the sense that you could tell he was having trouble hearing. They were having to repeat the questions so he could hear them. Because all of this was a surprise to him, he just didn't look good, he thought. I don't think any of us would have cared one way or the other. So I negotiated with him and I asked him, would it be okay to publish a transcript? And he said, yes, it would. And so I started to do I was going to send it off to have a transcription done by what's that company I use? Inc. No, I can't remember the company that does my transcripts. Verbal Ink. And what I do is I extract the audio, send it to them. It takes them a couple of days to process, and they send me back the transcript. And so I took down the video at Forrest's request. And so I told everybody at the time I was hanging out in the chat rooms, and I told everybody Forrest asked me to take down the video, but that I was going to have a transcript for everyone. And then Forrest and I exchanged a couple of emails, and what I negotiated even further was, could I just show the places where he was answering the questions? And I cut out the front end where he'd go, have to ask people the questions, and he agreed to that. And so there are, I believe, 8 videos from the Lure from that night where Forrest answered questions. And because I didn't have permission to use the people asking the questions, I had to just print the question. So since Forrest was in a public environment, you have the right to make this. You don't need permission. Once he goes up on stage, you don't need that kind of permission. But I would have needed permission because the other people who were asking the questions were not public figures, right? So I had to cut out the questions and then just write the question on top of Forrest answering it. And so we published each of those responses. And then for some reason, I'm trying to remember his name, Crazy Family. There's a user on Chase Chat. Crazy Family started accusing me of hiding, of taking out some of the material and keeping it for myself, where the treasure was, et cetera, and it just got progressively nuttier. I think to this day, he still believes that I took content out of there. And there's no way to prove a negative. I can't prove to him that content doesn't exist. So mostly I just ignore him. No, not mostly. I just ignore him because he wants to have an argument over it. And I basically told him to F off, that I wasn't interested in having a debate. But those are the videos that are up there from the lure. And that's the only time in 6 years of recording Fenn that Fenn has asked me to take something down, to take down what didn't make him look good. But they're up there now. So he's never asked me to, he asks me to do these events. He'll call me before an event. He asked me to do the event in September. He asked me to do the Raynell Jacobson event. He agreed to let me do all the others, Collected Works more than once, and Moby Dickens, et cetera, et cetera. So there has never been a question about whether he's never asked me to take down anything. And I think if he did ask me, I could make an argument that it was now in the public domain, because it is very likely that the search community, and I'm not accusing everyone of doing this, but it is very likely that those videos have been copied and stored away for personal use. They're just out there now. I mean, the Moby Dickens video just went over 100,000 views, and so again, yeah. So it's out there, and it's real easy to copy. And I'm sure, well, we know it's easy to copy because people have copied it and put it up. There was the Russians.
Put it in their movies.
Those damn Russians. Well, if you ask us permission to use any of our materials, we'll give permission. We'll not make it. Occasionally, we get people who don't ask and who use it anyway, but we don't particularly care. It's been out there long enough that it is very, if you were, as a matter of fact, there are clips from Moby Dickens in both The Lure
and Searchers.
And The Searchers, the two movies that have been made of The Search. There are clips from Moby Dickens in both those movies, and those guys wrote us beforehand and asked permission to use it. We've given permission, so.
Actually, no.
Oh, they didn't?
The Searchers.
No.
Matt Maisano didn't ask.
Matt
He did talk to us about it when we interviewed him, but
yeah, exactly.
he
was
didn't
afterwards.
ask.
So yeah. So, as Erica would say, so that's the only time he's ever asked me to take anything down.
All right. Now that you've made a short story long,
Okay.
Candy D'Amico wants to know, has anyone thought about what In the Wood means? And Toby, that tie needs a black shirt, just so you know. And actually, looks black, but it's actually navy.
Yeah, it is. And what told me, Candy, was I put it on with a black shirt. And when I put it on the black shirt, I realized it was navy blue. So I picked another shirt that had both the blue and the green from the leaves in it. So yeah, I agree. It would have been a black shirt, except it's not a black tie. It's a navy tie. But thank you guys for commenting on what you think I should be wearing. I like that.
But anyway, do you have an idea about what In the Wood means?
Well, it's not, to me, it's not in the clues. And it's in those paragraphs where we think it's about establishing ownership. And where you're establishing ownership, basically what it means to me is that if you have gone out into the woods and found this treasure, I give you title. It's part of the whole giving the title of the gold. You have to establish a set of criteria that says, if you're the one that's done this, recovered the treasure, I give you title to it. So we don't think it's a hint or a clue, but lots of people would disagree with us. So this is Mike from, it says Matheson, Indiana, but it could be Madison, Indiana. Is there Madison, Indiana?
I don't know. There's lots of places in
He
Indiana.
asks, has anyone ever noticed that the top of the left side of the search map kind of looks like Forrest Fenn's profile? I had noticed. I'll take a look at it, Mike. Had not noticed that.
We have Thrill Chaser in the room.
Hey,
saying
Thrill
hello.
Chaser. How are you doing? Nice to see you again. Let's see.
Stripes and flowers don't go together. Well, that's an opinion.
What?
I've seen lots of people do
Who
it.
says that stripes and flowers do not go together? Who's that?
Candy.
Oh,
She's having tie issues this evening.
Candy, if we ever go on a date, just tell me what you want me to wear, and I will wear it for you. How's that? Christian from San Diego says, other than your solve with searcher, other than your solve, he writes with, but it should be which searcher do you think has the best solve you've heard? You know, that's a hard question to answer. People don't always share the details of their solution. They generally say, I'm looking here. Michael, I know where Michael is looking. I know where Sean Dodson is looking. I know where Rick McDonald is looking. I know where Jason Dent is looking. But they don't share the details of it. So, and even if they did, far be it for me, as someone who has no idea where the treasure is, to tell them what I think about their solution. I think all solutions are valid until we all have a lottery ticket. That number is valid until somebody wins the lottery.
But really, the best solutions are the ones that are just like ours. Where they're in the same place. Because then we're like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're so
Go
smart.
Get up there to the Rio de los Pinos. We like that area. And what do you think about DeCall Thomas's mini lake theory? Has he moved on from the 800-foot chameleon?
I don't know. I don't keep track of that.
I haven't heard it. I haven't heard his mini lake theory, Christian. Okay, hi AGK Media. Do you think, this is from area code 860. Hi AGK Media. Do you think a sizable number of searchers would like someone to find the chest this summer, even if it's not them, so that the chase ends and that they move on with their lives? Thanks. Oh, it's Richard from New England. Wow. I would say, I don't know if it's a sizable number. I know there are searchers who kind of wish it was over so that they could, like you say, go on with their lives. But I think that's one of those personal responsibility things. If it's the kind of thing where you don't want to spend any more time, you don't want to spend any more money looking for it, then don't. But if what you're envisioning is that you will be relieved of the responsibility for searching for the treasure by someone else finding it, I think that's the wrong approach. I think you have to make a conscious decision and say, I don't want to spend any more time. I don't want to spend any more money. I don't want to put any more miles on my truck. And if I'm going to be out in the woods, I want to be with someone doing something other besides looking for a treasure. And that was kind of the decision that we made. But I don't know necessarily. I think there's a part of each one of us that wants to be the one that finds the treasure when it is found. So you hope nobody else finds it. I mean, think about last February 2017, when Fenn said
18.
Oh, I'm sorry, February of 2018, when Fenn said, my gut feeling is that somebody's going to find the treasure this summer. Imagine or think about how everyone felt when he said that. Half of us felt like, oh, he's talking about me. I'm going to find it this year. That's me he's talking about, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other half of us felt, well, like, damn, I hope it isn't found. I want to find it, you know? So I don't know how many of them hope that it ends, even if it's not them that finds the treasure. I think most of us who are investing the time, effort, and money in it would like it to end when we find the treasure. So, at least that's my opinion on the matter. Okay, can you guys just tell me where the dang treasure is? I'll split it with you. Keep the interest, Alice. Love you guys. Oh, correction, alive, not Alice. Keep the interest alive. Can you guys just tell me where the dang treasure is? I'll split it with you.
We've been asked not to do that.
Yeah. They've told us we can't tell you where the treasure is, so I'm sorry. We're going to keep it a secret for a while. Yeah. Okay, James from Texas. How did you rule out Lander?
We went there.
Yeah, we went there. It is way too
People-y.
busy. Yeah, it's too populated.
Yeah.
You would have to go way up.
It's a beautiful place to visit, but it's a tourist attraction.
Yeah,
basically.
It's like being in Yellowstone. You're surrounded by people who aren't
and we
looking
even
for
met Native American young men who were out gathering. What was it, sage?
Sage
for their ceremonies. So they're all over that area. Just, I mean, every inch of it. Gathering herbs and tourists and everything else. It's very people-y.
Yeah,
So,
but on the other hand, if you ever want to go, Sinks Canyon is a beautiful public camping area, nice place to visit as you go into the mountains, yes. But you can't do anything up there without running into other people who aren't, like I said, they're not there looking for the treasure, they're just partaking of nature. So, James from Texas, lead searcher may not have been born yet. I don't know then how it could be.
there can be only one.
There can only be one.
Didn't Highlander live for like eons?
8 billion years. Yeah, no. 1,400 years.
Oh yeah, Matt Bear says the yurts are great too.
Yeah,
They're
they
pretty cool.
are. We had made plans that if we ever decided to go back up there, we'd rent the yurt for a couple of nights. They're really well designed, and they're very stylish, and they look very comfortable. Question from area code 217: have you guys ever looked at paper aviation maps? Boy, have we. Most small airports have a courtesy car for pilots, so he should never show up in a rental car search. Thanks, Brett. That wasn't my story. You're right about all of that, Brett, but that wasn't our story. That was Fenn's story. If you look at the story about his trip to Lander in Too Far to Walk, he talks about going to the Avis. He was very specific. He goes to the Avis rental counter. There's a boy that he estimates his age at 14 years, and he invites him to go up into the mountains. We assume it was somewhere around, because he mentions, that's where Fenn started talking about the Popo Aggie River. How could you not visit the Popo Aggie River? Don't use the name Popo Aggie when you're in Lander because you'll get beat up. The name of the river is Poposia, and there are three
branches
of the
tributaries?
river. Yeah, the upper, the middle, and the lower Poposia River. And he invites, and this is his story, right? This is in Too Far to Walk. He invites a young gentleman who is working the Avis counter to go up and look for arrowheads. So you are very right about what you said. And one of the things we wanted to find out was who that person at the Avis counter was. So we visited the airport at Lander, and there are no car rentals at the airport at Lander. And based on the people that we spoke to, there never had been. The closest location you could rent a car was in the city next.
Another city. Totally other city.
Yeah, yeah. So another
Lander
reason.
was way too small for that.
Another reason we moved away from it.
Chad Bird says, where is Dale hunting?
I think Dale started. I don't know where he's hunting now. I think the most recent.
He spent most of his time in the Yellowstone area, right?
Recently, he started in New Mexico. He spent a lot of time in New Mexico, and then at some point decided to move north. I think his search area is in and around Yellowstone or Montana, things like that. At least that's what is indicated whenever he's asked to be the subject in one of like the Nightline videos, something like that. He's up in that area. But if I remember correctly, last year he made a trip that he only mentioned in passing, where his car died, and where his van, what's her name, Esmeralda. He has a van that he called Esmeralda, or his pickup truck, and it blew a transmission or something as part of his travels. And at the time, he was in Colorado. So he could have come all the way to New Mexico, visited with Fenn, looked up in Colorado, and then headed home. He lives off of the Washington, and I'm talking about Washington, northwest Washington coast, on a little island called Loomy Island. So he has to travel quite a distance to get to the search area.
So we have people waiting to call in, so
Ooh,
we better get through this stuff.
Is that a threat? So text question from 785. Forrest has said he doesn't reveal the real period he hid the treasure so others won't look up his plane records. He is also quoted as saying he used his car to hide the treasure. How can this be explained? Check the TS website. Yeah, so there is nothing that requires anyone to explain everything that Forrest says. If you took the totality of what he has said and what has been written about what he has said, you're going to find a lot of discordance there. So I don't try to explain it. It could very well be, and I don't remember him saying about about the plane records. I remember him saying that about the rental car records. So there. Toby, this is Mr. T. I'll just call you back. Okay. So he's waiting for the phone line to open up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hi, Debbie. Oh, it's Debbie. Debbie from New Orleans. Something keeps telling me the treasure is located near Canyon Road in Santa Fe. Love the studio and y'all. We love y'all too. And if it is in Canyon Road, it is certainly not in the mountains north of Santa Fe, and it certainly doesn't meet the old 8.25 miles thing, because Canyon Road is right down the middle of Santa Fe. It was a major thoroughfare at one point from the eastern side, and it intersects Delgado Street, which is named after my family, and which is where my family resided before they moved over to Palace Avenue. So it's a very narrow street. It's a one-way street in certain sections, and it's filled with galleries of various kinds and a couple of restaurants. There's a restaurant up there called what was that restaurant that Badia or Jaramillo?
Where?
Up on Canyon Road.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know Santa Fe.
And my first girlfriend, Anita,
see,
lived on Canyon Road. Anita, she had dark hair, blue eyes. Oh, God, she was beautiful. I was 12 at the time. She was 11. I was in love. AJ from Texas, have you read Journal of a Trapper by Osborne Russell? As I stated in our last, I read a bit of it. It's not easy reading because it really is a journal. And so if you like that kind of book, it's not like reading a novel. It's like reading a journal. It's like reading somebody's diary. And Osborne Russell wasn't exactly the best writer in the world, so it's very difficult reading. I went through it, kind of tracked down the areas around Lander that he went to. Somebody a long time ago had taken, and you can Google this and find it eventually. Somebody had taken the Journal of a Trapper and had actually created a map on Google of Osborne Russell's travels the whole time during the period that Journal of a Trapper was written, and just put it onto Google. And if you do a search, Google Maps, if you do a search for that, you can actually find that map. And he literally makes a track of all of Osborne Russell's travels based on his journal. But I tried to read it. Like I said last Wednesday, I downloaded the Kindle version, and I did some basic searches, but it's not the kind of thing that you're going to be able to sit down and read. I couldn't do it anyway, and I love reading.
Hi, honey.
Hi. Is Honey in the thing?
Kevin is here. Hi, Kevin.
Kevin, can we talk about tomorrow, because we need to go to the garage and take apart the shelving. Yeah.
See, he talks so much he runs out of words.
Do you think the word highlighted being misspelled on the map has any significance, or just a typo? Michael from Wichita, Kansas. Michael, we discussed that a couple of weeks ago. R.F. Hecky had come up with a theory about it, but what we discovered is that there are actually 3 variations of that map. And so because there are 3 variations, it's likely that it's not any kind of a hint. It's simply a typo and then retypo.
My goodness, we got a lot of stuff to get through.
Yeah. Okay, here's a voicemail.
Hi, Nobi, Toby, and Shelly, the most beautifulest woman on our planet. This is Heather Dawn Hedrick Brown, and I know you guys haven't talked to me for a while. I've been moving, and I wanted to tell you I called Mr. Forrest like maybe 4 days ago, and when he answered the phone, he said hello. I said, hi, this is Heather Dawn Hedrick Brown, and he said, ma'am, why do you call me so much? And I said, because I respect you. And he said, well, what can I help you with? And I said, I just wanted to tell you that I love you. And he said, oh, that you're such a sweetheart for saying that. And then the other thing I want to say is I just joined the gym so I could get in good shape because it's almost spring. My birthday's in spring. And wouldn't it be awesome to find that chest around my birthday or a little bit before that? So I love your show, and I don't know what you guys are doing with Lady Oracle, but please bring Lady Oracle back. Peace and blessings. Bye.
That was Heather, our good friend, who's a longtime viewer and commenter, and we love hearing from her. She's fun. She was talking about
touch
moving
with all of our channels.
Yeah. She was in Wyoming, but at some point she moved to.
I don't know if
did
she's
she ever
moved
move
or
to
not.
Arizona?
I don't know. I don't think so
Well,
because
Heather, thank you for calling. We appreciate it.
she was fixing things back there, I think.
I think it's funny that you can call Fenn and his reaction is, "Why do you keep calling me?" I don't know if he's is he giving you a hint.
Why you keep answering?
Yeah, exactly. He's got to know that it's her calling.
Chad Bird. Oh, Chris Bird. Sorry, Chris Bird. We have a Chad Bird and a Chris Bird. Chris Bird sent us 1999 and says, "You guys are awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. You are awesome as well."
Are they related?
No, it's spelled
Chris-
differently.
Oh, okay.
It's spelled differently.
Okay, because Chad Bird is actually dad using his son's
Okay. And Chris, I think, is in New Mexico. So.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, I think I might be wrong.
Oh gosh, long one here. The lead searcher is the 200 searcher, not because he picked the right warm waters, but because early on, that someone well known to Fenn was in a way told. Fenn did say she was well known to him. He has said that. So if Fenn says that person is well off and doesn't need the money, this is stuff that I've never heard Fenn say. So I'm not sure where you're getting it from. Sounds like they know each other well. There is only a handful of people that fit that criteria that email him photos, personal friends is well off. The person would know who they were. All they have to do is backtrack, and that's an upper hand on everyone, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, if all of that was true, but it's not. Can you please tell us why Fenn does not like you?
No, it's a
I
secret.
believe you had mentioned that a while back. So I try not to say that Fenn doesn't like me.
Because then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, then it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. I don't know necessarily. I think he took offense at the fact that a couple of years ago, Jenny Kyle, who is a dear and who's a dear friend. They've been friends with Forrest. Forrest and Jenny have been friends, and they like each other. They respect each other. They've been, she's been in the search and has her website. And what happened is we did a video right after she did her 6 questions, and we did a video called "Send in your 6 questions, and I'll send them to Forrest." And we had people send us their 6 questions, and I told people as a documentarian how to ask questions. And the people that asked them, I didn't want any yes/no questions, et cetera, et cetera. I wanted open-ended questions. And so we picked the best 6, and I sent them to Forrest. They weren't like Jenny. They were just one-line questions. Jenny has very detailed multi-question questions. So in her 6 questions, she'll ask, 20, 21 questions, really. So I just took 6. They were submitted by our viewers, and I sent them off to Fenn, and I never got a response. But apparently, Fenn's interpretation of that was that I was trying to take over the 6-question meme, and I wasn't. But apparently, it made him mad enough so that who did he share that with? Sean Dodson. So the whole thing about Fenn hating me comes from Sean Dodson saying that and telling the story about the 6 questions. But of course, he doesn't know the whole story. He only tells it. He doesn't know the story to tell, but he uses it. So that's why I say it. I say it because it was said by somebody else.
Okay.
No joke. I just found the effing treasure. Who do I contact? Don't we have something like that? Okay, so
somebody knows.
This is for you if you've just found the treasure.
Or you know where it is.
Yeah. So we don't hear that very often. So if you have evidence that you found the treasure, then send the evidence, and we'll. And it's not necessary to use expletives. Who do contact? I think it means who do I contact? You contact the local media and you tell them that you found the treasure. They'll take care of the rest for you.
Alert the media.
Alert the media. They're going to ask for evidence. So Paul Ammons says, Mrs. Ford said, Forrest, were you sleeping? Got me thinking, Toby, what do you think having your eyes closed or open would be? Maybe I know. Share it in the chat room if you do, Paul. Voicemail. Ooh, long voicemail. All right, got a voicemail. Let's see what we got here.
Hey, Terry. This is Jerome. I'm from Syracuse, and I'm calling just about the Fern mystery. I heard about 5 years ago. Saw it, the poems was going online and all that, and I've actually gone out to New Mexico 6 times. I mean, it's crazy. It's a beautiful place, but the whole thing, it's so puzzling. It's so fascinating to me. I think some clues, though, are super misleading. Like, I don't know, there's definitely some clues that we're missing that he's guiding us in the wrong direction with some clues, I think. But it's got to be hard, and it's okay. But thanks. Love the tie, Tobster. Shelly, you're looking great. And yeah, thanks, guys.
So who was that? That was Jerome from Syracuse, New York.
Yeah.
So wait, there's a postscript. Hi, guys. I think there is one clue that is misleading a lot of
Brett
people.
says our video is frozen.
I don't.
Oh, other people are saying theirs is not. So never mind.
It's Brett.
Do a refresh.
Because I can see. Yeah, just do a refresh if it's frozen. That's YouTube playing games with you, because we're watching it over here, not only in real time, but in YouTube mode over here. I think there is one clue that is misleading a lot of people. I don't know what it is, but I believe that the line put in below the home of Brown is suspicious. Awesome tie, Toby. All that love.
Right.
I'm glad everybody except Deborah liked my tie. Was it Deborah? No. Who was it?
Candy.
Candy didn't like my tie. Well, she didn't.
Like
It wasn't
the
that
combination.
she didn't like the combination. That's fair.
No. She
Yeah, it
wouldn't
was-
have done that.
It was an emergency. Chris from Taos. Where's he from?
House.
Taos.
Rhymes with house and mouse and spouse.
Hey guys, great show. Starting to rain, snow up here. So hey, did you hear that, folks? Don't make any plans. Starting to rain and snow up in Taos. My question is, what do you think when Forrest says, "Put in the poem, thanks and God bless"? Put in to me comes from my days at sailing, because sailors use that phrase, "put in," which is when you're out sailing on a body of water and you decide you want to head into a marina or a port or someplace you can moor for the night, you put in to that location. That's what it is. It's a place where you stop wherever you are and you go to a location where you can rest for the night. That's what it means to me, and I've always interpreted it that way. And it is a watery fishing term. The lighting in here is really good for you. I like this new lighting.
Well,
I'm just going
good.
to show you. Can I show them the things that Jason made for us? No, we can't.
Right now?
No. We'll
People
do it
are
another
waiting
time.
to
Okay.
call in.
We only have 20 minutes. We're not going to get to it, I don't think.
Well, you promised.
Okay.
You better.
Another voicemail. So let's see.
Toby, you had mentioned the fact that you would like to post a picture, and I have a photo that I would very much like to show everyone in the chase. It's from Google Maps, and I can tell you how I found it, and I would prefer to kind of be online with you to actually tell my side, because you really won't believe it. It's kind of an epiphany the way it came about. It happened to be how I found the photo, and it's in Google Maps, and I figured you guys probably know what it is, and I thought it would help a lot of searchers if they were in the right area. Anyway, thanks.
So if you have a photo of a theoretical nature, send it to me, and what I'll do is I'll post it to our community blog on this channel. We have a community. If you look on the things that are on this channel, there's community, and I'll post it there with your explanation, whatever you send me. What I would like for our green screen, for our chroma key, are images that you have shot yourself and can give me permission to use. Of your travels, of the forest, of the streams and rivers and waterfalls that you've found, because I'll put them up here, if you'll send them to me. But if you have something else that you'd like to make a point of, send it to me and I'll put it into our community blog on this channel. When is Shelley going to make... We talk about this all the time. When is Shelley going to make an ASMR vid about the Fenn treasure? Such a great voice. Combine ASMR, Fenn, treasure.
And you could be over here doing other noises.
Little noises. Yeah, we talk about that all the time because every once in a while you're presented one of those ASMR videos and you're going, why is this showing up on my homepage? Have you ever, so this is from area code 515, have you ever seen a solve or met someone with one that had an overwhelming amount of correlating evidence? No. Because if I did, I'd steal it from him and go get the treasure. No, I haven't. Everybody is like everybody else in this case. We're all just theorizing. Here's one of those passive-aggressive ones.
Oh.
Area code 75.
Is it a drama llama?
No, it's Candy should be a little bit more sensitive when it comes to your tie. Clown ties are totally in these days.
Oh, backhanded compliment.
Yeah, a little passive-aggressive there. Okay, can I send you photos of the blaze? Location, I would like to have you place it behind you. If it's a pretty photo, yeah, send it to us. Okay, so let me turn on the phone lines. We've got like 17 minutes to take a call or two.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on.
I know we have a couple people waiting, so we're going to have to keep the call short.
Okay, so we're going to keep the call short tonight so we can get everybody in. And 866-597-9901. That's 866-597-9901. The phone lines are open.
Guess what? I got a fever. And the only prescription is more cowbell.
Okay.
So Mr. T wants to call in. So let's give everybody a chance so Mr. T can call in.
Yeah, Steve Gahagan came in late because he was at a silent auction fundraiser and he won a bunch of stuff.
Won a ticket for skydiving?
Skydiving.
Nice.
Including skydiving. Well, better you than me.
I've never skydived. I was parachute qualified in the military, but that's not skydiving. That's just a jump out of an airplane from 1,200 feet.
There it is.
All right. Okay, so I tried to turn down that ringer, guys. I really did try.
It was as loud. I think it was fine.
Hi there, this is Toby and Shelley, and who's this? Where are you calling from, and what's your question?
Toby, this is Mr. T. Some people wanted me to call in.
All right, Mr. T. Great. What's your question?
I don't really have a question. I think they have a question for me.
Oh, okay. So does anybody have a question for Mr. T? Now, the problem is, Mr. T, there is a delay between the conversation you and I are having and the people in the chat room at the point that people in the chat room hear it. So it's going to take a couple of seconds. We'll see if anyone has a question. Does anyone have a question for Mr. T? Steve Wayne says, ask Mr. T where the treasure is. Do you know where the treasure is? Okay.
I'll tell you what. If somebody had called Mr. Fenn and asked him, I don't know if he would say anything or not, because that would be giving me an unfair advantage.
Yeah.
But he knows who I am, and he knows I've got the right stuff.
I'll
tell you all this.
How do you know he knows that?
Go ahead. I sent it to him. I'm a gut feeling guy. I'm telling y'all.
Oh, okay. So you're the guy that Fenn had the gut feeling about. Is that what you're claiming? Oops, where are you? Mr. T, are you still there?
Did you turn down the audio?
No, I turned down the ringer, but...
He's stepping back away from the chase. From his...
Hold on just a sec.
Mr. Techno here.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
everybody this.
What's that?
Let me step outside. It's kind of noisy here in the garage. All right. Mr. Fenn said, look at the big picture. The reason nobody has found it is they're not looking at a big enough picture.
So when he says big picture, what do you think he means?
People's search area is way too small.
Really? So you think so I've always said that our search area is between clue 1 and clue 9 is 1,000 feet. So how big is your search area from clue 1 to clue 9? What's the distance?
Well, my whole entire distance for the whole entire thing is more than 350 miles.
Well, yeah, but you're counting your travel, right? So let's put you in your...
No. The clues are over 350 miles. That's why nobody has figured this out.
So
you got to really expand your search area.
So you think that the distance between clue 1 and clue 9 is 350 miles. Is that correct?
No. Well, I'm not going to say how far of a different distance that is. I'm just saying that's why nobody has figured it out, because the distance that people are looking between this and there is way too short. You guys need to back way up.
Yeah.
And start way back there and work your way to the treasure. And I guarantee you, it is possible to figure it out while you're sitting at your kitchen table.
Wow.
Down to a pretty small spot.
Well, those are some pretty amazing conclusions that you've come to. One, that you can get to the treasure from just working at your kitchen table, and two, that there's a distance much greater than any of us, well, than certainly Shelley and I have imagined. Mr. T, thank you for calling in. You did set some conversation off in the chat room, and you need to go back there and talk to those folks about it, all right? But thank you for calling in.
All right, sir.
You have a good evening.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
So, guys, remember when you call in to turn off the audio on your computer before you call, so that we're not getting any feedback. And you can just talk normally. You don't have to yell. We can hear it.
Unless Toby turns the audio.
Unless I turn the audio off. So, cool thoughts. The big picture kind of guy. So, I've got a text message. Ooh, God, I got more than one text message. So, all right. So, guys, I have no idea what to do with this ringer. I've tried to turn it down. Hi there. This is Toby and Shelley. Who is this? Where are you calling from? And what's your question?
Hey, Toby and Shelley. It's Todd from Detroit.
Hey, Todd. How are you doing?
Great. How are you?
Very good.
I know how you're doing. You're doing great. Look, I can see you on the screen.
Yeah, exactly.
You're doing great.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I think that, I'm calling in because there seems to be a lot of anxiety around the whole lead searcher. And if you take your last call that you got,
yeah,
you go on the forums, a lot of people are really anxious about this lead searcher. And I just don't know how to resolve this. You being a very, you're what can I say? You're a stalwart of the searcher community, and I think that when we talk about the lead searcher concept and we dismiss it, it becomes problematic, because it's like, what do we do? And so we need to address that. And it's like, where is this whole lead searcher concept coming from?
Okay. First of all, the lead searcher the concept of the lead searcher is very likely coming from the person who thinks they're the lead searcher, right? The problem that I have with it, and why I don't think there is a lead searcher, because I don't know how you define it. I don't know what specifically is a lead searcher. Is that the one that's been closest to the chest? Is that the one that's figured out X number of clues? Because I think if there was a lead searcher, we probably wouldn't know it. So that's the first problem I have with it. The second, that it's a myth, I believe, created by the community. The second problem that I have with it is if you were to take any 10 members of the community and ask them who they thought the lead searcher was, you get 10 different answers. If you conducted a poll that said, who do you think the lead searcher is? And you would get one name for every person that responded to the poll. Well, there can only be one lead searcher. So at that point, what people have to realize is that it's an opinion, like everything else in the search. It's an opinion. So to me, that makes it, the moment you have more than two people, more than one person as a lead searcher, then that diminishes the importance and the value of the concept of lead searcher. You can't have more than one lead searcher. So everybody in the room, what I would like you to do in the room right now is type in who you think the lead searcher is and see if there's any commonality. If everybody in the room says Toby Eunice is, and I'm not the lead searcher, I'll tell you now, I'm not the lead searcher because I don't know where the treasure is. But there will be no commonality between the responses. And so you can't have more than one lead searcher by definition. Lead searcher is singular, not more than one. And so I don't see how it's provable, right? That a lead searcher exists. So I'm very skeptical about the concept. Not just that there is a lead searcher, but about the concept. What do you think?
Well, first of all, Shelley looks really awkward when you're talking about it, which is she's like touching your ear, which makes me think, geez,
maybe she knows who the lead searcher is.
Really doesn't think there's a lead searcher.
Yeah.
No, it's these
okay,
earbuds
so
are uncomfortable.
I actually think that there is a lead searcher, and there is a lot of talk about it on the forums.
Mm-hmm.
There's I think circumstantial evidence that dictates that, I think that Forrest has been leading us to believe that there is a lead searcher. And, what's problematic is, to me, that there are a lot of people who are buying into this concept, and they truly believe that they are the one. And I just don't know how to rectify that. Because there's it's like...
I think I think it's the nature of the beast, right? So when Forrest says something like, it's going to be found, my gut feeling tells me it's going to be found this summer, there's a significant percentage of the community that believes that he's referring to them. And then, of course, it is not found, and his gut feeling changes, et cetera, et cetera. I had never myself, has Fenn ever used the phrase lead searcher?
Not that I'm aware of.
It comes out of the community, and it's a myth, and I think it's a self-salving. It's a salve to help us survive another search season, and hopefully someone will find it. I would love to speak to the person that does find it this summer, but I don't see any indication that anybody is any further than anyone is any further ahead in this chase than anyone else. So.
Okay. So let's take that. Let's back up to February 2018, and we go to gut feeling. So he says gut feeling, right? And then we process ourselves through the year, and then we arrive at the final 6 questions for Jenny, and he seems to be, extricating himself from the chase, and then all of a sudden it's like he's just out.
Yeah.
So what are we left with? We're left with the fact that, like, the previous year he has this idea that it's going to be finished in 2018, and then now we're in February, and he's saying, I'm backing out, I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's like, of course, this type of attitude toward the puzzle master tends to lead toward the idea that this is someone has figured out the puzzle master's
See,
question.
I don't interpret it that way. I think if he had any sense that there was someone, that someone continues to report to him and he gets progressively closer, I think it would drive him to be more interested in the chase. I think the reason he's stepping back from the chase is a variety. There's a variety of reasons. Number one, he's 88. He's going to be 89 this year. At some point, he's got to slow down. Number two, the events of this past summer, in my opinion, would have caused his family to ask him to step back. At some point, he's got to back away from this. And just the amount of activity that takes place around him. So I don't feel like he's backing away because, so this is the non-provable part of all this. In my opinion, he is not backing away from the chase because he thinks somebody is close. I don't see that line of logic. I can't make that line of logic in my head. I can't.
I totally respect that, and I'm just going to totally say that Forrest is way more clever than all of us. And
yeah.
He is totally playing all this stuff out.
Well, that's obvious because if he wasn't more clever than all of us, the 350,000 of us that have been looking for the treasure for the past 9 years would have found it. All right, let me take another caller here before we get on.
Yes.
Thanks for calling in. I enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And I love that you're challenging our thinking like that. Okay, so we're coming up on 9 o'clock. Let me, so I'm going to turn off the phone here. And I'm going to go back to some text questions. I wonder what people would say if Dale found the treasure, Valerie and Vanessa Garcia. Oh, how cute, sisters, Valerie and Vanessa. I think people would have a hissy fit if anybody as visible as Dale or Cynthia or Toby and Shelley found the treasure, because you would have to assume that there's some sort of shenanigans that's going on. I think Dale has as much of a chance of finding the treasure as anybody else. But I do think if he did find it, there would be a bit of consternation in the community. James from Texas, 1,000 feet is not too far to walk, James, by Texas standards, because it's pretty flat. You're right. Do it in the mountains, 1,000 feet 4 times. Which is what he had to do. That's 4,000 feet.
Over 5,000 feet.
Yeah,
Sea level,
at an altitude over 5,000 feet is a heck of a distance to walk. So you've got to consider all of it. Answered call, and then last question. But we keep. Oops. I want to help move the search forward by looking back to the history and the poem. Terry Scant is the speck blown up in the roof below the pictures. But we keep listening to Forrest Fenn talking in circles. The next clue is close by. Take it in the canyon down is the butt with Terry Scant. Thank you. I'm not sure how to interpret that. Okay.
Good, because I was lost too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think it's about time to call it a night.
Shut down the phone line?
I did shut down the phone line.
Right.
And I don't mean to imply that I'm shutting it down, but
for tonight.
It's time for us to close. It's time. Do you have any music that goes with saying goodnight? We need a little goodnight thing.
Oh, well, we should just do the outro. So I
okay, well, I'm going to do the outro. Okay. Ahí está. And?
Thank you all for being here this evening, for all your great questions and comments. They keep us going every time.
We appreciate you being here and going through all of this with us. I mean, we spent 2 hours now talking about the Fenn treasure, and it's been a blast. And?
For AGK Media, I'm Shelley Carney.
And I'm Toby Eunice. Thank you. We are blessed by your presence. And we look forward to seeing you next Wednesday night.